Grandfather of the Year here in Missouri, and he has quite a story to tell. We count on him so much. I call him the Alliance mascot. All right, Darrel.
Thank you, Greg. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me if I stay down in here? You know, I'm used to running around in about a quarter section, not a 50 by 50, so this will work for me. I hope it does for you. You can already see by the title of my presentation what I've done, but what I want to try and share with you is the trail of tears by which I got there. It just didn't happen overnight. And it starts with my background, because when I came to Missouri and found what I found, I think I maybe looked upon it a little differently than a lot of y'all who were born and raised in FESCUE country. My home was north of Minneapolis an hour. My school was U of M. Anyway, nothing. Huh?
Different M.
Yeah, it was an M. We were okay. But nothing we had was toxic. None of the forages were toxic. There was no ergovaline anywhere. And after the kids grew up and the last one left the nest, Mom and I ran away from home and came to southwest Missouri and started our own little beef operation. We still ran off to work so we could afford the cows, of course. But not until then did I come to realize what toxic fescue was. And so, like I said, my look at it was, my perspective of it was quite different. All things were not new. We did do ration a day grazing back in 1958. My father was kind of an early adopter, sold his last Holstein bull, dairy farm, his last Holstein bull in 1946. Never a bull on the place after that. All was AI. So I was kind of out there looking for ideas. So like I said, Mom and I ran away from home. At least that's what the kids tell us. And started our little operation. And I started learning. I mean, my learning curve was like the flight path of the X-15 that Chuck Yeager flew to the sound barrier record. Straight up. I never knew what what difference 10 degrees of latitude could make. 700 miles, heat that just beat you up, new pests, weeds and insects, no mosquitoes, those I was used to. Soil that was different, I swear, soil so erodible. If two cows decided to back up and take a pee in the same spot, you start a gully right away. You know, I just wasn't used to that. And then, of course, new forage plants. And then they tell me that all this beautiful grass waving over hill and dale is toxic. Say what? So I hope you understand how I looked at it a little differently. But my resolve still, manage the grass, manage the cattle. How are you going to do it? Well, make some changes, Darrel. First thing we just did was put in a grazing system. We were set up at first in 5-acre paddocks to move cows every as many days. Found we were wasting too much grass and went to daily moves. Put in a mile of water line, built a corral. Discovered you can't handle cattle with T-posts and wire panels. You can have a few wrecks, but you can't manage. At any rate, the place today looks like that. You're looking at a quarter section. We own the south half and the northwest quarter. And we did at one point rent the whole quarter in the northeast, and then half of it got sold. We now just have the east half of that northeast quarter. The red lines you see are water, except that one right there was drawn by mistake, and my wife's face makeup would not take it out, so it's still there. Anyhow, each 40 is a wagon wheel grazing cell. Each 40 is a little grazing cell within itself. Does that make sense? I really work hard moving cows. I have to pick each one up, carry her over, and put her on the new grass and set her down again. You know, everybody talks about all the work. I grab that reel. If you can't see me, I'm on the cart right there. I grab that wheel. It was probably hung up there. I head over and I'll drive into as far as the edge of the trees and jump off and carry the reel up to the fence there. It takes me 3-4 minutes. It takes me longer to get out there than it does to actually do it. And guess what the cows do? They move themselves, you know. Now, that McNabb back there, he thinks he's moving them, but, you know, I let him kid himself. What did I do? I knew I'd hit a wrong button. Someone save me. I think I hit the bottom button. There you go. Magic. Thank you. Nevertheless, we do the intensive grazing thing. We went to all fall calving in '97, and that changed our life a good deal as well. I love calving in September and October. It's beautiful. But toxic fescue was still destroying what I felt was any serious hope of profit. What did I do? Why did I feel that way? Well, I'm kind of a numbers guy, and I keep records, and I know what that calf should eat in terms of dry matter, and I know what his mama should eat in terms of dry matter, and it doesn't take long knowing what the energy and the protein is. Net energy gain, net energy maintenance. You can pretty easily quickly calculate what the result should be. And I wasn't getting it. About 3/4 of what I should get. And I want to say right now, the biggest loss from toxic fescue is a loss that you never had and you've never seen yet. It's the gains you ain't getting. When the foot comes off, yeah, we see that. But anyhow, shaggy calves, spiked tails, lousy conception, unacceptable abortion, and the occasional foot loss. I did not, as Justin suggests, I agree it's a good idea, send in a sample, see if it's hot, but I didn't need to. I knew. What am I going to do? Back at the time that I was coming to this revelation, my choices were either put in toxic-free or manage what I had. And it was pretty evident that toxic-free was not persisting. It just wasn't lasting. Great grass, grew well, good healthy plant, until the nematodes attacked it, until the insects attacked it, until the cows grazed it a little close one time. 2-3 years, the toxic-free was gone. So, I'm going to manage the toxic. What did I do? Well, I did what they say you needed to and what everybody else was doing. Drilled in Lespedeza, put some red and ladino clover out there in the winter, kept it vegetative, keep it from getting seed heads, fed mineral, and yes, I went to fall calving. Well, the only thing I didn't do was run around and look for a toxin-tolerant bull, because we were committed to having quality cattle. I should have said that earlier. We bought commodity cattle herd, 50 cows in a bull, bought the whole herd, red, green, yellow, they were every color under the sun, about 17 different breeds. You know, they had some you could stand on your toes and not see over, and others you wouldn't be able to see under them, let alone meet two on a bridge. And we wanted the uniformity, we wanted quality cattle. So, abandoning AI was not an option. How did that work? Well, Lespedeza is a beautiful plant, the cattle love it. Of course, it's only active in the summer and fall, but it doesn't yield a lot. That big old fescue plant, you know, that gives me the dry matter per acre I want. It was catchy. Grew good here, not so good over there. Pretty good over in there, but right, you know, off and on. Calf gains improved some. Abortions went down some, but they didn't go away. And foot problems really, honestly, didn't seem to change at all. And yeah, the oxytet, my mineral, or chlorotet in my mineral, raised the costs there. So, along come the year 2000, I was managing a little local farm supply co-op, and the Pennington rep came in and told me about Max Q. Robert Johnson was his name, Chris. And being a kind of a doubting Thomas that I am, and knowing that in agribusiness there's always somebody coming down the road with a 50-pound bag that'll fix it all for you, you look at it kind of skeptically, you know. So, and I did. But I did the research. And what I saw that had done for growers in New Zealand and then in trials here in the U.S., where you could hang your hat on stocker calves, you could hang your hat on 3/4 pound a day gain on non-toxic versus toxic. My logic went to work. You know, and I remember in my dairy judging back in FFA, you always used to look for them milk veins along the belly of the cow because we knew that was a good sign of milkability. Well, they're carrying blood, aren't they? And we know the toxin constricts the arteries. Where's that blood going? Down along her belly through them veins, or arteries, you see. It's going to her udder. So it can go through her udder and synthesize milk. So if ergovaline restricts blood to her hooves and her tail and the tips of the ears, it sure as heck constricts blood flow to the udder. I'm going to make less milk. Dairymen will tell you 30% right off the top. Put them on toxic FESCUE and watch milk production drop 30%. Well, what's going to do if I take 30% of the milk out of the way from my calf? I'm going to wean a lighter calf, aren't I? Also, halfway to weaning or a little over, that calf isn't just a milk baby. He's out there grazing a lot himself. So he's getting restricted milk intake and he's getting toxic ingested on his own. Can't be good. So in 01, stuck my toe in the water and did the spray smother spray method and seeded novel ENDOPHYTE on my first 10 acres. In 2002, I did the same thing on 20 acres, and we had the ball rolling, and we just kept going until the whole darn farm is converted. That was in 09. And then I'm still renting this half a 40 I showed you north of the house on the northeast quarter. Went to the landlord, thought if I was going to spend a couple $100 an acre, for me about 150 probably doing it myself, I want to know if he wasn't going to kick me off in the next year or two. No, he said, Darrell, I'm not going to retire for 4 or 5 years, but then I might want it back. What do you think I did? I killed it. I killed it. And I put sorghum Sudan out there. Oh, I jumped ahead part of my story. Before I killed it, back in 2010 in the fall when I put the cattle on there, I'd eaten up all of my own stockpile. The cows had been on our own land. Remember, our own land was converted by 09. They'd been on there for a few months, and I put them on the rented ground. And I had a wreck. I had 4 of those. Beautiful first calf heifers. Show me select sale. Today they'd have brought 2,900. That old girl there, I carried hay and water to her for about 4 weeks just to get her calf a little further along before I took the 308 out and put her down. When I put her on the loader, on the bale spears, that's the way she looked up close. So, now back to that 40 north of the house in the northeast quarter of my quarter section that I'm renting. I did it. And my records, and I want to show something here. Well, we'll get to records in a minute. Anyway, yeah, I keep records. I guess maybe as good a time as any. My cattle records are on Access database, but you know, you can export any query from Access into a spreadsheet. I did that, and I'm going to show you this in a minute. But yeah, 1,480 breeding experiences, 1,050 calves weaned. You can read it better than I can. If it happens, I record it. If I think it might somehow in any way help me evaluate or understand what's going on. I want to do some math here real quick. What does it cost to convert? I look at the cost of conversion in terms of per cow. So the cost to convert per cow is going to be offset by the increased income per cow. That's why I do it that way. I'm a pretty tight grazer. I run about 1.6 acres per cow. So if I take 1.6 times $200 an acre, it's going to cost me $326 per cow to convert. Weaning weights. I need 2 volunteers real quick. We don't have a lot of time. Please. Somebody else grab this in. Somewhere, yeah, put your fingers in there and just take off. This is every calf that's been weaned on the place since 1993. Okay? Oh, first day on the job or what?
I thought there was more there.
Anyway, that's 2014, 1993. Here's the, hope you can still hear me. In the black here is the calves that were weaned before we started converting. Then we've got the intervening years of conversion. And in the orange is the calves that we've weaned since we converted the whole place. 5 years. So before 5, after 5. Okay? One of you can, if you would be so kind as to roll it up, I'll keep it going. Anyhow, here's, do I need that? Here's my weaning weight average from 1993 to 2013. Percent weaned, conception, and number of cows involved. Notice, if you will, my weaning percentage before novel ENDOPHYTE was 80.6, went to 89. Weaning weight 532 to 598. And by the way, last year 528, a drop from all of the years before. You can't, I had 70, 75 days worth of really poor quality hay. And you know what? I did the farmer thing. Dug my heels in and said, I ain't going to go to the store and buy any of that supplement. They're going to get by on it or not. And of course they got by. But you can see what happened to my weaning weights. The cows were about a full body score lighter too. Anyway, that is profit. And I want to show you a quick look at it. That difference right there for you in the back, 532 weaning before, gives me 66 pounds of increased weaning weight, gives me additional income of $50 a calf or a cow. Whoop, I got to go back. Weaning percentage gives me an 8.4% increase. 8% more cows, more calves out of the same number of cows. That's worth $122 a cow. Backgrounding my calves for 60 days at, now this isn't from my records, this is using that 3/4 pound that anybody can have if they want it. For 60 days on my calves, it's $34 a calf, and I raise my own heifers, 10 or 12 a year. I have a bigger heifer, more settling heifers, a little bigger calving, goes through that first lactation better. Those 4 income sources added up makes for $220 a cow. Now, I spent $320 to do it. Divided by 219, there's my payback. My payback is going to depend upon my stocking rate. The more acres per cow it takes me to raise a calf, the more it's going to cost me. But for me, honest Injun, like my mom would say, I can do it in less than 2 years. So pick your stocking rate. Consider the greatest loss you're getting is one you've never seen because you never had it. Questions? Okay.
Ask some questions. This guy knows what he's doing. How many of you keep your records and access? No.